Well, good morning. I didn't do much video at camp because the bugs were atrocious. If I didn't have a long sleeve shirt that they can't bite through and a bug net for my head, I would have been wishing somebody would have helicoptered me out of here. That's how bad they were. So I just tried to pack up as quick as possible this morning and get out. It was 8:20 when I left. Took about 15 minutes to get back on trail from the campsite. And then I had an immediate 70-meter ascent, and it's just soul-sucking. But you get rewarded with this view. So that's Kirk Creek below me, and we're kind of looking southeast, and you can probably see how hazy it is. It was already 20 degrees Celsius at camp, so it's going to be a scorcher, which is another reason why I wanted to leave early. I don't have a huge day. I planned that purposely. I mean, after the Moose Pass day, it's nice to have a shorter day. So I'm hoping to get to campsite by 2 at the latest, but just going to take it slow and steady because this heat is bad. You know, this time of year it's supposed to be 14 to 16 degrees Celsius, not 25 to 30. And the bugs normally don't come out until the May 2-4 weekend because they need the heat. Well, guess what? This early heat is bringing them out early. So you can plan all you want. At the end of the day, you know who rules out here? Mother Nature. And you just have to adapt to her rules. Well, this gives you an idea of the terrain today. We got Great Mountain Lake in the background, and the foreground is Little Mountain Lake. Little Mountain Lake has a campsite. I don't know if you can make it out, but there's a rock formation right out on the water. Stayed there before. It's a pretty campsite. But there's a portage that links Little Mountain to Kirk Creek. And what I did, because there's no reliable water source between there and David Lake where I'm camping tonight, I went down to the portage and filtered a couple liters of water to carry with me so I don't get dehydrated. So that's how high I've climbed since being down at that portage. And if you look over there, that was the first ridge I came up and down this morning, and now I'm back up again. And there's about 3 or 4 more ups and downs before we hit the cutoff to David Lake. And then I'm guessing it's about a 20-minute hike from that cutoff down to the lake. So we'll see what time we make it. Well, this is a welcome site. So if you head right, you go to H35 on Boundary Lake, where I've stayed at twice. Or if you make a left, you go to David Lake. I've stayed there canoeing, but never hiking. So this will be a first. That's David Lake over there through the trees. So I'm expecting about a 20-minute hike along the trail to get to the campsite. So we'll see you there. Just had to get a video of this. The trail made you go down and then up and up to the top of this rock face, but here's your reward. A grand view of David Lake. And I believe that point in the middle, there's a campsite right at the end of that point. And the Wolfman and I stayed there. And man, was it a great sight. Beautiful lake. Can't wait to get to camp. Well, here we are, home for the night on David Lake. Give you a kind of a panoramic shot of my view. It's just gorgeous. Boundary is a great site, and you know what? David's just as nice. Absolutely God's country up here in Killarney. And if we walk around this way, this rock shelf is at the front of the campsite. I always refer to it as the front porch, because it's a great place to come and sit and watch the stars if you're up that late. But if you go around this section, we'll actually be paddling this lake. I think I mentioned that in August. And we'll head down around that inlet to take the portage over to Great Mountain. What's interesting is it looks like somebody's left a canoe here. So I'm waiting to see if somebody comes back to claim it. Obviously there's a paddle underneath, I can see that. But not being a strong swimmer and not having a personal flotation device, I'd have no desire to take it out on the water right now anyway. But you know, What do I do when I first get to camp? Well, it depends on how much time you have, obviously, but today I went down to the water and dunked my head. Just get the gunk off. That makes you feel a lot better. Downed about 1 liter of water. And then I decided I'd go and collect some firewood. But I have to show you, some people I think just need better training, or to be taught. I gathered all that up. It was strewn around. All that green stuff is just garbage. I mean, if there's green pine needles still, it's not going to burn. So I don't know why people did that. And then somebody's left some type of garbage here, cans. There's actually a can and bottle ban. You're not supposed to bring them. Now, I'm not going to say I never brought cans, but what we do is when we burn them, we smash them down and we carry them out. We don't leave them on the interior. And this is always my favorite, this giant log over the fire pit. Like, I don't know what you're trying to do. That's birch. You can tell by the bark. I salvaged some birch bark over there for my fire starter. But while the birch bark is excellent fire starter, birch itself doesn't burn worth a crap. And anything that thick, my goodness, the amount of heat you need to burn that, it's crazy. To try and roast it over the fire like that, it's just, well, it's just not going to work. Anyway, the bright spot is, so far, the black flies have been minuscule. Nothing like they were last night on Shigaug. There's a few around, but they're just swarming. They're not biting. And there's not nearly as many. Like, I had hordes last night. So I think I'm gonna process my firewood afterwards, but I think first calls for a cup of coffee and then we'll get the hammock set up. But I'm gonna just enjoy this view, that's for sure. I'm hoping you can make it out. Cool little water snake. Yeah, there he is. Come out to see me. Yeah. All kinds of interesting things you see if you keep your eyes peeled. Yeah. So a lot of people say, why do you do it, especially solo? Because, you're carrying all that weight. Obviously, you've heard me complain about some of the ascents and the hot weather, the bugs. But just have a listen. That's why I come. I'm not sure how well this will show, but I just wanted to kind of show you on the map how even an 8K day can be much more arduous than it seems. So I stayed last night here on Shigaug Lake. When I got back to the trail, I was at a height of 327 meters. George Lake, where I started, is at 185 meters. So immediately was that 70-meter climb up to 397. And then no sooner do you do that, you go back down to 254, then back up to 320, then down to 286, then up to 406, then down to 306, then back up to 341, and then to down to 292, which was the junction for the cutoff to the campsite, which is where I'm at there now on David Lake. So that's what I mean about how, distances are relative. But that up and down, I'd like to get the entire total ascents and descents on the trail. I'm sure it would be pretty mind-blowing. But it's nice to have a shorter day and give the legs a rest. And I'm going to have another short day tomorrow. I'm supposed to go up to Silver Peak, which is the highest point in the park, 539 meters. But when I left home, the prediction was for rain tomorrow. So if it's raining, there's not a chance. So it all depends on Mother Nature and how I'm feeling. I've been up there before a couple of times. Probably be up there again in September. So if I miss out this time, I'm not that worried about it. But I almost forgot to give you today's quote of the day, which comes from Gary Snyder. And Gary says, "Nature is not a place to visit. It is home." And you know how true that is. And it doesn't have to be a solo backpacking trip, arduous like I'm doing. It could be a simple walk in your neighborhood park. It could be a drive along a scenic coastline. It could be sipping a margarita on your favorite Caribbean beach. But there's no doubt about it, nature calls to us all and it refreshes our soul. So that's the thought for the day. So it's 6:50 on Sunday morning. I'm just having a cup of coffee. And I thought I'd show you the low-level clouds that have moved in. I mean, there is the ridge up there and it's totally obscured by the low-level clouds. And if you look out where I could see the islands and the view ahead of me, now those clouds are hugging the water. And you see it all the way around. You can even see it blowing in this way. But if you look off, it is blue sky over there. So it's got to be some type of weather inversion. I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't know what's going on. But I know the forecast when I left home said there was an 88% chance of showers today. Obviously, if the clouds stay low like this, I'll be hiking through them on the trail. And Silver Peak is in doubt today just because of, number one, if I went up in the clouds, I wouldn't see anything anyway. And number two, with the prediction of rain, you know, if it starts threatening at all, I'd rather be at camp and set up and be able to hunker down in the hammock rather than be caught on trail. So I think it's have a quick breakfast, get packed up, get on the trail, and try to get to camp ASAP. So we'll talk to you later.